Well, good morning, everyone. I'm sure you notice a different backdrop that I have. I'm recording from my husband's office because there's something going on with my computer, so I'm not in the studio. But I'm here again this morning with our good friend Keith Murphy with Essex Mortgage. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yes, leading into 2 4-day weekends coming up with Christmas and New Year's, and I'm sure a lot of people are excited about that and ready to take a little bit of downtime and be with their families. So, but this morning we're going to talk about some really great news that just came out as to FHA loan limits. So we've seen some increases that we think are going to really help people, help those borrowers who are looking to purchase a home and have the minimum 3.5% down payment. Not to say that you can't put more down and get an FHA loan, but I'm going to let Keith address that. So Keith, go ahead, take it away.
Sure. Well, I'm excited to announce that the Department of Housing and Urban Development on December 2nd announced the new 2021 loan limits. If you saw our prior video about the loan limit increases for conventional loans, that went into effect immediately. The difference here is that the loan limits are a different denomination in some counties, and they are not effective until January 1st of 2021. So the announcement's been made, the numbers are out, we're going to share them here in a moment, but it is great news because with the market appreciating the way that it has, with the future appreciation that's expected in 2021, these new loan limits are needed. And it's a great thing, great news. I think it'd be really good if I just share my screen here for a second.
Okay, while you're bringing that up, I have a question for you. Sure. And that is that while these rates don't take effect until January 2021, can you just clarify that if I were writing a contract today and we were going to close in 2021, would we be able to write in the make an allowance for these new loan limits?
Yeah.
Are you underwriting loans right now under these loan limits for closings in 2021?
The answer is if it's an FHA loan, then we could not use, if the loan was originated, meaning the application was taken, there's the property address attached to it, there's an escrow open today, then the current loan limits would apply to that transaction. Even if it rolls into January, it's about when the case number is assigned.
Okay.
So any new case number cannot be assigned until January 1st of 2021 for this new loan limit to be in effect. That is not the case with conventional. So just to recap, in case people missed our last video, the conforming loan limit on November 24th, which is not applicable to FHA loans, was raised to $548,250 across the nation for single unit properties. And you can see how that it goes up for 2, 3, and 4 units. And that went into effect immediately. So you could purchase a home right now and capture these higher loan limits. But to get to the FHA side of the fence, that case number cannot be assigned until January 1st.
Okay.
Now, the good news is though, here is for at least your market area, Kelly, the FHA loan limit for single family or condo, townhome, 1 unit properties is now up to $477,250 in both Riverside and San Bernardino. And it goes higher for 2, 3, and 4 unit properties. I think it's important to mention, because I get it a lot, that if someone is, a young couple, single individual, don't have kids, and are interested in buying units, a duplex, a triplex, 4 units, as a way of leveraging wealth and investing in their future, you could buy, a 4 unit property in Corona or Riverside and finance the entire purchase price as long as the loan amount doesn't exceed $917,800 with a 3.5% down payment. I should insert that.
Right.
For some reason, a lot of clients think that if you buy units, you have to put down a bigger down payment, even with FHA. That is not the case. 3.5% down for all properties in all counties.
That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to your point in the beginning, with these loan limits now expanded, and we also have FHA zero down loans. So, you know, if somebody's paying rent, you've got job stability and the ability to repay a mortgage, you know, with these rates at record lows, historically speaking, and zero down with these higher loan limits, why not? Why not
Right.
invest in yourself? Why not purchase? And I think that's what 2021 is probably going to be all about. You know, rates are still low, and if they're blessed enough to have, you know, employment and income, which unfortunately some have been, you know, negatively impacted with COVID, and my heart goes out to those families. But for those that have, you know, missed harm's way and are doing fine, why pay rent when you can own with these higher loan limits and low rates? I think that's where the market goes in 2021.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Well, I think it's going to, so one of the articles that I just read was that with the rates remaining low, the prognostication is that this will, having been low throughout 2021, there are a lot of people who are in the baby boom cycle, or the baby boom generation, who are in that cycle in their lives that they're ready to retire and they're ready to downsize. And so they're a little bit less fearful of buying something else, taking their equity from their current property that was, you know, the family home where they raised their children, and moving on to a 55 plus community, or just downsizing and letting that first time buyer come in and buy that property, or that move up buyer can buy that property. So I think that we're going to see inventory, we're going to see more coming on the market. I don't think it's going to change it to automatically being a buyer's market all of a sudden, but I do think that there's expectation that people will say, okay, I feel confident that I can go ahead and buy something and not have an interest rate be so excruciating that we're not going to see these interest rates go out of whack within the next year or maybe even 2 years, that I can go ahead and make my plans and buy that retirement property and put this property on the market. So the two biggest buying generations that are being talked about are the millennials and the baby boomers. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And certainly for those millennials, first-time buyers, you know, probably having less money saved up, these increased FHA loan limits are going to be extremely helpful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think also, just to kind of dovetail to what you said, we have a housing shortage, and the number of people that need a roof over their heads is growing in number, not shrinking, not flatlining, it's growing. We already have a housing shortage. So what does that mean? It means rent inflation. And as rents go up, you know, more and more people are going to look to get out of that runaway train called inflation and get their housing costs fixed so that they don't go up in the future. And what a great time to do it when now the loan limit's expanded. So if your inventory options have been expanded, and you could finance it, you know, today in the mid twos on a 30-year fixed, unheard of interest rates, I think is also going to fuel what you're saying, that just based on sheer supply and demand and rent inflation, it's going to push more people out of thinking about rent and more so thinking about owning.
Right. And frankly, from putting on my banker's hat, your option of being able to purchase an asset and put in minimal of your own capital, and what you finance is at 2.5%, or, you know, I think we even saw 2.25% FHA fixed rate 30-year loan rates just a few weeks ago. I mean, for my money, that's a great investment. You know, you're buying with cheap money, and you're using very little of your own capital. So it's almost like such a low risk investment. And like you said, getting that roof over your head and having that housing cost fixed.
Yeah, I mean, we should do a whole segment on what you just said, because the leverage factor, if you went to, you got the stock market behind me here. If you
Yes.
went to your stockbroker or financial advisor, or just went into Charles Schwab and said, look, I believe, and I'm going to make up a stock here, but I believe Apple shares are going to go higher. This is hypothetical. Apple shares are going to go higher. They're $128 a share today. With all their wearables and whatever reasons, I think the stock's going to be worth more in the future. I want to buy $100,000 worth of Apple. Well, guess what? You need $100,000 worth of capital to buy that $100,000 worth of Apple stock. For it to go up, you've got to own it. You've got to have the money to buy it. Where else could you buy $400,000 worth of Apple stock for $14,500 down, which is a 3.5% down payment on an FHA condo?
Yes.
You can't get that leverage, and that asset that's worth $400,000 is going to appreciate, flatline, or depreciate, whatever the value is going to be, regardless of how much capital you put down. So you're basically leveraging a $400,000 asset with less than $15,000 of your own hard-earned savings. There isn't any other investment that I can find that you can control that much asset with that much capital.
Yes. And you have to have a roof over your head anyway. So why not own it?
Why not own it? And I know we're in the real estate business, so we're both, pro housing, but even if I wasn't in this space, I just know if I have to write a check every month for a place to sleep, for shelter, I don't want to write a check to someone and never get a penny of my money back. I want to put my money someplace that I'm going to get a return on my investment long term, and that's what this is all about.
Yes, I agree 100%. Well, it's an exciting time, and it's a changing time. Ever since we've, March of this year, we've been trying to do these Zoom calls to bring this information to the public and be able to give you the information from, yes, maybe a point of our own opinions and our own view, but still be able to, give you the information with some responsibility of saying you owe it to yourself to check out all of the information that's out there and available to you. And for you, whoever is watching this, you are welcome at any time to contact myself or Keith and ask us questions and explore whether or not homeownership is right for you. And depending on your circumstances, it may not be, but it may be something that is going to begin to create some wealth for your family, as well as give you that stability by having that roof over your head, so that you're not paying rent for. Keith, thanks again.
It's an honor to be here. And one last note, I don't do a very good job of this, but I'm going to today. For 2021, anybody who wants more information like this should go to freehomebuyingclass.com and register.
Yes.
It's a 1 hour informative deep dive class into the numbers. I do it every single month on Zoom. It's free. You get a workbook, you get a home buyer safety checklist, lots of other goodies, and it's all just in the name of empowering and educating people on some of the things we touched on today.